Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Passion and Persistence podcast. I'm your host, Elaina Mitchell, and this episode is brought to you by E. Mitchell Designs, a one-stop shop for all of your branding, marketing, and design needs. So guys, did you hear that the Passion and Persistence merch has officially launched? I'm super excited. This merch is going to help us put more money back into this podcast and the whole passion and persistence movement. So we have things like hoodies, t-shirts, tanks, pins, and soon to be hats, and so much more. So visit passionandpersistence.shop today to help support this passion and persistence movement. Without further ado, here is this episode of Passion and Persistence.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Passion and Persistence podcast. I'm your host, Elaina Mitchell, and today we have a really valuable episode. You are going to learn so many tips and tricks and just hear about the different perspectives of branding and using social media for marketing and growing brand awareness. So we have a really special guest today, Pat Curran. Hello, Pat.
Hello. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much for being here. So just to be real and raw, we started this podcast a few minutes ago and I never hit record. So now we are backtracking. This is all about, it's all about.
Actually, like round 1B, because we just started, it was only a few minutes.
Cool. So we were talking a little bit about your passion. So tell us about yourself and your passion, Pat.
Yeah, so right now what I do, we do video. It's me and my brother essentially, and sometimes we work with independent contractors, but we do video marketing, branding for brands, athletes, influencers, people, stuff that we think's cool, and we'll do it. You know, that's essentially what we are and what we do. Backtracking, I was a football player. I was just telling you this part. I was a football player forever. Like till I was 24, I was either coaching football or playing football, and then started coaching football at the low level, college level. And then it was like, all right, what do? I started training some athletes, but I needed to scale it. And my brother was doing the same thing. So we started this fitness app, like a follow my along app. And this is like 2013, 14 when we started to develop it. The space wasn't what it is now, where it's full of apps and everyone has a damn app. We were trying to be those people to white label apps for athletes and celebrities and that kind of deal. And we were pretty close to some big deals. And one of the things we were doing locally here in Los Angeles when we moved out, we were creating free video content for trainers. And then we started to get people who would say, hey, can you shoot a video for me for this deal I'm doing with cryotherapy spot down the road, or you know, this yoga company or whatever it may be. We had this handful of people reach out and we said, well, shit, why don't we start doing, this is a slow process. This is like 6-8 months. Why don't we just start doing more video content? And then we started getting paid. And then from having a couple of thousand users on our app to creating full video marketing content is totally where we went.
Very cool. It's really cool to know that everything's not always going to go how we plan or how we imagine, but you're ultimately going to get to where you're meant to be, right?
No doubt, yeah.
So that's really cool to hear about. And tell me a little bit more about the content creation. Have you always been creative, or you said that you started out with the football thing and stuff like that? When did the creativity get sparked? When you started after you started the app?
So how we've always kind of just naturally done it. Again, it's been me and my brother. We started our first company in 2010, and we've always been, maybe 2011, I don't know, long ass time ago. But we've always kind of had this deal where I usually do most of the creative stuff and he usually does most of the biz dev. So it just kind of like naturally, I don't know why that happened, but it's always kind of been there. I guess because he was doing, as I was coaching football, he was doing sales for his first company. So I've always been in that space. I've always been, from a creative perspective, I've always asked why. Like, why are we doing this? Why should we do that? From like dumb stuff when I was young, like I had hair down to my shoulders, and my high school coach was like, cut your hair. These college coaches won't recruit you if you got that long ass hair. Why won't they recruit me? Like, why is that a thing? Like, just stupid little thing. I've always been like, why? And I've always questioned authority and why people do stuff and why we're supposed to listen. And why do I have to learn social studies? I don't care about beakers in science class. Like, this stuff doesn't matter to me. So I've always kind of been that way. And then when we transitioned to doing video and marketing content, I really felt comfortable just throwing ideas out there. Like, let's try this. All right, that didn't work. Fine, cool. Let's try another idea, or let's adjust what we're doing. So I've always been comfortable with throwing out ideas, I guess.
Right. And problem solving too. I think the problem solving is a huge part of creativity. And like we were just saying, things aren't always going to go as planned, but trying new things keeps those wheels turning, juices flowing. So it's super, super cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is the definition of passion to you? What would you sum it up as?
Giving a damn. Like, a lot of people wake up every day and they're like, oh, again, I got to do this, or I got to deal with so-and-so, or like, I don't even want to drive to work. Or it's nice. I'm in my kitchen right now. This is where we don't have an office currently. This is where we work most of the time. Like I told you earlier, I don't know if we said it on the first actual podcast. I don't think we said it on this one, the non-recorded part or the recorded part, but I'm going to leave here in 20 or 30 minutes and I'll go to Santa Monica, and I'm filming with a CBD company to film some content. So a lot of our stuff, our home base is here. We'll go shoot. There's a piece of my pillow. We'll go shoot content elsewhere, and then I'm able to come back here and edit and do all that stuff. So it's, a lot of people don't have that freedom, and they hate what they do. We're lucky to be able to be in a place where we essentially do what we want when we want.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's been a lot of times too for us where it's like, I'm not going to make rent this month. I don't know how the hell.
Yeah.
Like, only a handful of years ago, remember 3 months in a row, I got late notices. Like, you got 2 days, dude. Pay your shit or you're out. I'm like, we don't have it. I don't know what I'm going to do. So we got to figure something out.
I can relate to that in so many ways. The struggle is definitely real. And that's where you have to be persistent through those roadblocks. When you're passionate about something, the money shouldn't be the motive. It should be the creative process and the fire that you have inside to make it work, And then that comes back to that problem solving side of things. And that is a creative trait to problem solve and to figure out, how do I make my rent this month? You know what I mean? Like, I've been there at least 100 times. I can't, maybe even more, where I'm just like shaking in my boots, like, oh my God. Cause I've always wanted to be creative, but it hasn't always paid the bills, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. When we first started this, I think when I was a grad student in college, I was making $6,000 a year, but I had like full bills. I had a rent, I had a car payment for like $300. So when you add up those things, I already had student loans from undergrad. I had insurance and phone and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, how do I make this shit work? But I did. So I think like living off $6,000 for a couple of years was super beneficial, because it was like, I can, all right, I found a place for $200 a month, staying with a buddy. Cool. Great. All right. This is cool. Now what's next? Like, how do I figure out this aspect? And now where it's like, we make a few bucks, it's a lot easier to figure out issues on that end.
I agree 1,000%. People that are just handed things in life are not very good at problem solving, unfortunately. Everybody that's successful or at the top of any chain or ladder, they've gone through those struggles. They've persisted through it, even when things don't always add up. So let's talk a little bit about social media, because you're big in the social media game and helping people build their brands and their content. Let's talk about some cool tactics that maybe you've uncovered, or things that you're currently doing for your clients that help.
I think the biggest thing is always being authentic and real. And like we talked about, we just started to talk about this on the first part, is being different. Like, everyone says the same shit. They have the same vibe, blah, 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 blah. A lot of times I've got to a point now where if I scroll, I don't like to scroll, but I'll scroll sometimes. I'll get on there. And if I just see like 3 posts in a row, and I'm like, I just get off. Like, if it's just people saying the same old shit, I don't feel that you're really saying that, I'm out. So when we come to people we work with, and I don't like the word client personally, I like the word partner. We're in this together. Yeah. You're not just sending me a check. But when we work with partners, we always come to them with trying to be creative and different. So like, there's one guy, I don't want to say his name, because we might work with him, we might not work with him, but he's a big time NBA guy. And this is like we've worked with UFC people. We've worked with some NFL people. One of the guys I'm working with today is a former NBA guy, but like that's not our game. We don't live in that world usually. So I reached out to this guy and I said, hey, listen, he needs some PR, by the way. I said, you can control your message. Let's start creating your own content. He doesn't have a YouTube page. Let's create some stuff that lets you control what you want people to hear. And I put it like, I don't know the guy personally. I've never met him. This is all through Instagram. And so I put it in a way where he's kind of getting the vibe I'm trying to put out, but I'm not saying, hey, dude, you need some damn PR. Like, let's work on some shit. But from his perspective, he's got an opportunity to control what people are seeing about him. Right now, all he does is put up some Instagram posts occasionally. And when we're dealing with athletes or people with money in general, which we have, sometimes we do, sometimes it's, startups, but a lot of those people, they just want to show the flash. They want to show, it's rich men. They want to show the cars and the chains and that's not relatable. That's cool. That's great. I would love to buy a Bentley too. But at some point you're going to be done. Let's start creating a brand depth and have a reason for people to give a shit about you after you're done. So that's a long-winded answer on that aspect. But I think what we do is we're trying to always be different and creative, and not, if I've seen somebody do it, I don't want to do it.
Absolutely. That's so important. And so to me, the essence of branding is just letting the world know who you are, what you stand for, what problem you're solving in a relatable way. Like you said, people don't relate to objects and things. They relate to a message, to an experience, to a feeling. And there's so many creative ways to pull that out with either the images you're posting or the caption or your stories. And I had mentioned earlier about how authentic your stories are and the way that your personality just comes out, and it's not scripted. It's not like, what's the word I'm looking for? Sugar coated. You're just like, this is you, And I even saw one of your really cool podcast episodes where you and your brother were sitting there shoeless on the couch. And I'm just like, this is so cool, so raw, so authentic. Yeah. And I love that about you. I love it, love it, love it.
And we'll fuck shit up too. We'll we'll be on doing our podcast, Business and BS podcast, shameless plug, whatever.
Yeah.
But we'll do it and we'll be like, what's that sound? Like, oh, there's construction going on behind us. Like, we're not pretending we're something we're not. Like, I'm in my living room for the one you're talking about. I'm in my living room talking, which is right over there. I'm just right here talking. We're having a conversation. We're talking about business. It doesn't need to be, we don't need to be in suits and ties, and like, we're having real authentic conversations. And to go back to what you said about like the shiny stuff, and that's not relatable, to 19-year-old me, that probably was more relatable. Not that I had money, but I was like, oh, that's cool. I dig that. 35-year-old me doesn't give a shit if you have a nice car. I don't give a shit if you got a nice chain or if you got 10 girls with you. I don't give a damn. So there is a point where things change for a lot of people, but what's going to be the long term of what you're doing? And some of these guys that we've worked with or could potentially work with, when you make $100 million, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, do whatever the hell you want to do, live your life. You don't need to be real. Be whatever you want to be on social media. Have fun, get out. Don't spend it all on something stupid.
Right. Absolutely. But when you have that big platform, like a lot of these celebrities and athletes, I feel like it's so important to use that platform to the best of your advantage to share a certain message. And like you said, so many, especially athletes, aren't not capitalizing, utilizing that platform that they stand on. So there's
no doubts. So I know I sent this to you, and you probably know, but people listening wouldn't. So we've been doing the branding marketing for people for 4 or 5 years. A lot of times we pitch these concepts. Some brands are really cool. Some are like, we haven't done that in the past. We don't want to do that too much, or this doesn't align with our brand at this point. That kind of bullshit answer. So about a year ago, we started our own brand called Our City Coffee, which is a coffee company, sell online anywhere in the US. And now we're starting to create, we're working with athletes and some bigger names. And the biggest thing is like, I'm talking to NFL agents, and I'll go in and I'll look at their guys' social media, and it's just like them in a uniform, and then it's them working out, and then but I could go through the NFL, and there's 90% of the people have the same content. It's the same stuff. You post a picture with a game day picture, you post working out, you post with your lady and your baby, bam, there's everybody. And so I'm talking to the one guy, and he's trying to sell me on his athletes. And I said, well, listen, in a respectful way, I just say basically, there's no engagement on this guy. He does the same stuff everyone else does. This guy doesn't even have a Twitter account. Like, what do you they should be from that perspective. If a lot of these NFL guys or NBA or UFC athletes acted like a lot of my fitness friends, they'd make $100 million a year on social. Because a lot of these fitness people we've worked with and I'm friends with, they kill it. They do so well because they're engaging. They create real content, or at least like as real as it gets for social media. Obviously, they know what cameras on, like we know what cameras on us. But they just do such a poor job of storytelling, and they have no idea, and these agents have no idea.
Absolutely. And so I was actually watching a show on Netflix the other day called The Mind Explained, and we hold on to memories a lot longer when we can follow a narrative, a story. So talking more about your journey, again, it makes you relatable, two, holds that memory in somebody's mind a lot longer of who you are and what you're making.
For sure.
That show is really, really cool about memory. But so
it's already on my list. I haven't watched it, but I clicked on it from there. Yeah.
Yeah. I love watching those shows and figuring out the mind. That, in essence, marketing is understanding psychology and how the mind works.
Sure.
Definitely. So have you encountered any roadblocks along your journey through?
A gazillion.
Yeah.
A gazillion. So I feel like, so we started when we started transitioning over to video content, we had no real contacts. We had reached out to some celebrities and athletes, but nothing really fell. We got close, but nothing happened. And we're trying to create these videos. We pitched this idea to USA Today. Why don't you guys have a fitness only website? They have like 90 different websites. And they're like, all right, we'll do it. Now you guys got to create the content. And so like this is just the start of this company. Like there's been a gazillion things up to this point. And then we're like, all right, so we sold them on this shitty little video we got when my brother had his baby. We got this little camera and we're like, all right, let's make a video of people working out. Sold them on some bullshit. And they knew that too. They knew it was a concept type. They knew it wasn't the quality. And so we had like 3 weeks when we actually did the sales on that end too. So we were doing the video, brought in the sales, and we had 3 weeks to figure out someone to work with video wise. So I'm just going through Instagram. I find a guy that we had worked with on some small project, and he had some guy do a video for him. So I reached out to this guy. This guy comes in, ends up working with us for 6 months. Was cool, but basically all the money we made in the deal with USA Today was done right there. So we're like, all right, shit. So what do we do now? By the way, we don't have anyone doing our video, but we're selling people on video projects. So this was like 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago. We have to figure out we get a deal. We're flying to out of state to create content for a pretty significant size brand. They're paying us well. We don't know how to work the camera. Like I think we know how to, I think I feel pretty good with knowing angles and different things to shoot going into this for athletic perspective. A lot of that stuff, again, is fitness, athletic type stuff, which I think the person and people we were working with, they came from a different world. So they didn't understand how to shoot, but they knew how to shoot. So I remember we get our camera and we get this gig. We have to figure out how to get a camera. Do we rent a camera? Do we buy a camera? We're making enough to buy it. All right, it's going to cost us like $300 to rent. It's going to cost us like, I think it was like $2,000 to buy a camera and a lens. We end up buying the camera and the lens. And then we also had to get like a tripod. We had to get a gimbal, which is like the Steadicam stuff for people who don't know. But we had no idea what to do. So we're sitting there YouTubing the night before we leave on this project, how to use the damn camera. What are the settings we need? How do we put it on the tripod? We'd never done that because we had the other guys do it for us. We were from the marketing creative side. We'll tell them what we think works and what they should do. So like stuff like that happened all the damn time. And then it was, all right, we got the video. Cool. Now, how do we edit it? Like I had done some basic vlogs on iMovie for a year or two at that point. So I was getting used to like cutting and putting and telling a story through video, but I didn't know how to edit anything for real. So we ended up buying Premiere Pro, and I sat up and for hours was just on YouTube. All right, how do I splice a video? All right, spliced it, cool. Now this like looks really dark. How do I figure out how to lighten it? How do I bring the color up? How do I, all those things I would just YouTube, and it'd be like at the jump, it would take forever to put together a 30-second video because I didn't know how to do anything. And then it's, all right, I export the video, and then it says the file's too big or the file doesn't fit, there's all these things that come up when you're creating video, and it's everything I just have to on YouTube. Yesterday I had an issue with my lens. I'm YouTubing something, I don't claim to be an expert. We've been doing this a couple of years, and I think we do some pretty good stuff, but there's always stuff that we're coming across that's going to be an issue, and we're going to have to figure shit out.
Absolutely. And I've seen some of your work. It's amazing. Like you said, the angles, the action that you are able to capture with your photography and videos, it's super, super cool. And it's really cool to hear an authentic story about somebody problem solving through the fear or the unknown of what it is. You know what I mean? And that's that persistence, why it's so, so important. We all are learning. There's a starting ground for everybody. And even with this podcast, I've learned so much, me forgetting to hit record. I'll never do that again, but I had to go through it.
Yeah.
And
there's people who shoot video for 30 minutes and don't hit record, and they're like, these people are paying me all this money, and then like I have this person on set, and then it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to figure it out? Crying doesn't help.
Absolutely.
You just figure the shit out and move on.
Figure it out and move on. And don't let fear capture you, to not let you take the step you need to take to learn something. We're all scared to take that first step, but it's all about pushing through that persistence.
Yeah.
So are you drinking your city coffee or my city coffee right now?
Our
city coffee?
Yeah.
Very good. I'm going to have to order some. Where can we get it from?
ourcitycoffee.com.
Cool. And what about your podcast? Where can someone listen in at?
It's on social at Business and BS. We're on every, iTunes, Google, Stitcher, Anchor, all those. And it's usually us having a casual business conversation. I never like seeing people in suits and ties. I don't want to be in a suit and tie. We were talking, I got a wedding to go to. It's my cousin's wedding next spring. And my mom was in town last week. And it's me, my mom, and my lady. And we're driving. I go, I don't have to wear a suit to this shit, do I? Like, I don't ever want to be in a suit. So like, we're casual. We talk to people who are doing cool stuff. Most of the people are either in like the early stages or, mid-level stages. We're not, there's no multi-millionaires, I don't think, that have been on the podcast.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that, the rawness of it. And I can relate to that, the dressing up part. So yesterday I had a meeting here in the office, and I was in like yoga pants and a t-shirt, and the person came 30 minutes early to the meeting, and my plan was to go upstairs. So this office is actually in my complex that I live in. My plan was to run upstairs and change before he got here. And he came early. I'm in my sweatpants or my yoga pants and t-shirt, and I'm just like, I'm so sorry. And he was totally cool.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's that authenticity. We are what we are, and that's it's relatable, I guess.
I remember I had a conversation, this was like 6 years ago, and I was talking to the CEO of this company, and we were pitching them on like a decent amount like of money deal, and I was shirtless in my bathing suit in my bedroom, and I was like, this is kind of funny. I'm about to call this dude. I'm like sweating. Like, I don't know if I was outside and it came back in, or I was about to go outside or whatever it was. I was just trying to get this call in. And I was like, oh, but this is what I want to do. Like, this is cool being like this.
Absolutely. I love it. So if anybody's listening or watching, where can they follow you at on social media?
At PW Curran, Curran. I'm usually talking business, coffee, football. Now I got a baby, so I've been just hammering people with baby pics the last 2 weeks now almost. So that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your beautiful family, on your persistence to chase your passion. I am so happy that we were able to talk today on the Passion and Persistence podcast. And I hope that we can continue to collaborate and connect through social media. It's a really cool world to be able to reach out and connect with people across the nation.
For sure. Deal. Done.
Awesome. Thank you, Pat. I hope you have an awesome Thursday.
Thank you. I'm off to go shoot some stuff.
Cool.
Thank
Have
you
fun.
for having me. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Passion and Persistence. I'm your host, Elaina Mitchell, and I'd like to personally invite you to subscribe to this podcast for future inspiration, motivation, and business tips and tricks. Until next time, go out and chase your passion persistently.